Welcome back to It's a DARMAR podcast. Finally, I got this beautiful gentleman to join me. His name is André Pelaes, and I know him for a very long time. He's also Brazilian, which Brazilians are very dear to my heart when I speak to them. As I like to say, joga bonita. And he has been on my radar for a long time. He was a junior when I saw his work. Now he's a senior, from what I can see. He's rapidly developing, and I decided to bring him on my podcast. Welcome, Andre.
Thank you very much, man, and thank you for the kind words. Yeah, I know, like Serbians and Brazilians, we do have this special connection, I guess, because like both places are very similar in terms of culture. I guess we're just like on other sides of the world, but most of what we do on a daily basis, what we deal with, like in terms of culture, I feel like it's very similar.
I think it very overlaps, and I always remember a sentence when I was growing up, in period of my father growing up, that we were called European Brazilians because of how we played football. Now we suck because of mafia and everything. I'm not gonna get into that, but that sentence stayed with me. And I met
We are not
many
that much better. Don't worry about
I
it.
wouldn't. I wouldn't say so. I still, my heart still burns from Ricardo goal on the World Cup with scissors. When I saw that, it was fascinating goal. How are you, man? How is life going? I'm seeing you're posting a lot of cool stuff. You have improved quite a bit since we last talked, and you are moving in a really good direction. I'm happy to see that, and that's what I'm bringing you because you're showing one thing with the hard work. You can do anything you want.
Man, thank you very much. Yeah, uh, I'm doing well. Like, there's a lot of projects in the works as usual, right? I'm the kind of person that even if that's not like there isn't enough work to occupy all my time, I tend to occupy it like with studies and to like side projects and all that. Like, I'm pretty sure you are aware of how side projects work and how they can grow exponentially more than you thought so. We also like, let me just give my boys a shout out. Like, we also have Lightshare, which is like with Adrian and Dom, so that also occupies some of our time. It's like this special little community that we're building to pretty much incentivize this mindset of hard work and like diligent work, because I guess we saw the need in the community to have people that actually motivate each other, but without the fluff talk, like without that, oh, you're okay the way you are kind of talk. More so the, look, you are okay the way you are, but you also need to work your ass off to get shit done. So I guess that sort of mentality and the fact that the three of us, we think that way, and we also push each other further. I think that, well, that can't lead anywhere other than like getting better and improving, right? Like, if you see your peers getting better side by side with you, like, you can't help. Um, you'll feel very shitty if you don't get better as well, and if you don't work as hard as them. So
Yeah, environment influences you a lot, and I was on your podcast. It was, I think, 4 years almost ago. Oh my god, I'm getting old. And it was a long time ago, but I remember three of you and talking with you guys. I really loved being on your podcast, because you're all cool and nice people. And I love that you mentioned that you're trying to push people, because there is a certain aspect. World is changing, definitely. There is no question about it, and that's that everybody is handed the medal. I am very strongly against that, because medal is something shiny that only the best ones should get. And I don't know what's your opinion about that, but I'm very very strong opinion about that, even though people attack me sometimes for that.
look, man, you can give up, or you can like continue to work and to like fight the good fight. In that sense, like, you can. The years will pass whether you give up or not, right? And you'll get old whether you give up or not. But I want to get old and look back and think that I did my best, and see that, like, okay, I tried my best. Like, if it works or not, like if this pans out or not, like if I end up fading or not, like that's not really the point. The point is, did I did everything that I said that I would do? Did I try my best on every single thing that I tried in my life? And I'm not even only talking about work, like, I was just talking yesterday with my wife. Like, I had this habit of every single area of my life, I try to optimize it and do it as best as I can. So, as an example, I work out, right? And with my workout routine, I have it very specifically scheduled. And to optimize the workout routine, I also have my diet like nailed down. and I have like timely meals, and I eat right every single day. I do have the off meals or like the more social kind of events where you don't care to so much about that. But that thing comes when I need to optimize my social life, right? So it's a fine balance between all areas of life. So one of them doesn't consume everything else. But I I think that the way that you do one thing in your life, so let's say the way that you do your work, the way that you approach your work, should also be the way that you approach other areas of your life. So if you want to exercise, treat that as if it was like, how can I do this the best way possible? My marriage, I try to treat it in the same way, right? Like, how can I make this the best like marriage possible? And again, if it works or not, like there's a lot of divorcees out there. Like marriage is something that is, unfortunately, in my opinion, an idea that is being left behind. But I feel like one of the reasons for that to be happening, and I might be just talking out my ass here on a subject that I don't understand a lot about, but I do think that it's because people are not 100% invested on something. And it's the same deal with art, you know? Like if you have a plan B, you will not make it. You cannot have a plan B, you know? Like this is the plan A, B, and C, and D, you know? like, uh, eh, and if you look around and you think like to yourself that, oh, if this doesn't work out, I do have something else, you might as well just be doing the something else because this requires you to be 100% invested. And it is hard, but everything in life is hard. And in my mind, giving up and dealing, like looking myself in the mirror and saying that I give up is way harder than doing the work that needs to be done. So yeah, I don't know. I don't play too much in the field of like the world is ending kind of talk. Like it's constantly changing and it will change like 100 times over until we get old. But yeah, that's just how life is. I don't expect it to be easy. So
That's a great attitude because I love how the attitude you have because mostly people have different kind of attitude and that's people say many things. The words are wind, as George R. R. Martin would say, because literally they are wind. When you look at people are saying many things, but they don't do it. But when you say it, I can feel inside of you. I'm not feeling just the words. I'm feeling your emotion and everything that you say. And I think it's a great attitude because it's needed for this industry. Tough skin, tough mentality, it's needed. Even though artists are always presented as something soft and gentle, you can't, as soft and gentle, go somewhere in this industry because you need to be really hustle. It's really hustle and it's constant hustle. I don't know if it ever stops. I am 10 years in this industry. It's not getting easier. It's not getting easier ever, like, which is very strange, and different kind of I had a certain ball when I was in beginning that I was juggling. Now I have different completely ball which I have to juggle in a different way. It's constant change, as you said, in the world. And speaking about change, you and I, when we talked, you said that you switched careers, that you didn't do art and that you
yeah.
switched. How did that happen?
Okay. So just start from the beginning, right? Like how I plan on my career. So I started thinking of what I wanted to do like as a job from the age of 5 or 6, right? I was watching a little cartoon show at my grandmother's house. Like I remember as if it was yesterday because it was a very like key moment in my life. I was watching this cartoon, and the idea was that the main character of that cartoon was this spy agent guy, and that he went to the scientist shop to get his gadgets, right? And then I don't know, the cartoon was a 2D show, but they did one of those 3D wireframe animations of the character putting on the gadget and like showing that all fancy stuff, right? And the moment
Which
that I
cartoon is
saw
that?
that,
Which
uh,
cartoon is that?
the name was Max Steel, which was a
A Max
cartoon that
Steel.
was,
Okay.
yeah, it was made to sell this toy, right? And I was like
Yeah, yeah.
super
I, I,
fascinated by
I
the toy.
I realized when you said it, but I just wanted to be sure. Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of like a juvenile version of 007, you know, like James Bond.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's how I saw it. And then seeing that gadget being played, being put on the character and the 3D animation, all of that, I was like, damn, dude, that's what I want to do for my life, right? So in my head, I was like, okay, the guy that does that gadget thing was the scientist in the show. So I want to be a scientist, right?
Okay.
Because that's how a kid's mind work, right? I want to invent things. And then uh, I ended up like studying a lot in my life to become sort of like an inventor kind of guy. I inspired myself with those kind of people more than actual scientists, because I had no idea what science actually was. I didn't know like what research was, how to do proper research and all of that, how universities worked. So that that thought of like I want to be an inventor carried me from the age of 6 until like the age of 15 or something. And by the age of 15, it's when you start high school here in Brazil. So that's when you actually start to think in a more serious manner of like what I need to do like in my life. What will be my job, right? Again, the creativity and the idea of inventing things was always in the back of my head. So I started thinking, okay, when I started learning physics and chemistry, I was like, all right, if I know chemistry enough, maybe I will know how to mix elements, and then I'll be able to invent stuff, right? I'll know how they would react to each other. So for a little while, I wanted to be a chemist, and then for a little while, I wanted to be I wanted to study physics, for the same reason, right? Because if I know how the world works, I'll be able to do this. And then afterwards I started thinking, oh, maybe engineering is the area that I'll need to go to, because like maybe making buildings will be my thing, right? Or maybe making like mechanical things in mechanical engineering. So throughout high school, that was my thought process. And then by the end of high school, I was like, hey, I really like playing video games, right? Computer games. Ever since I don't know, like I was 12 or something. That's when my family got like a computer specific for like our house. We didn't have a computer before. It was just like regular kids playing stuff.
Yeah.
So then I started playing computer games, and I was like, okay, I like to invent things and I like to play games, right? Maybe I can merge both of them. And the career that seemed optimal at the time was a computer scientist, which is basically a programmer career.
Okay.
Uh, and to be completely honest, I think that the reason why that did not quite work was because I did not have this work mentality, this work ethic that I have nowadays. Because I ended up actually going to college to study computer science, and it was, look, if I look back, it was a wasted opportunity, because I ended up getting into like the second best computer science college in Brazil. Like it was a thank God, like I was a decent student in high school. I could like go. I basically could go into any college that I wanted to, and then I went there. I think that the college life was not quite what I was hoping. You know, like it was very different from what I thought it would be. And other than that, like it was the first time in my life that I noticed that if I wanted something, I would have to work really, really hard for it. Because up until that moment, like all my student life, I actually did not have to work hard as much. Like I could get excellent grades without even like opening up the books, just paying attention to class and like doing that sort of thing. Which I consider myself to be lucky to be that way, because I know a lot of people that even at high school, like they were suffering to get through grades and get good grades and all of that. But anyways, I went to that college, and when I hit 6 months doing that, I was like, okay, I'm going back home. Like this is not for me. Which was a difficult decision to make, but I think it made me a little bit more mature as well, in a sense that you better think a little bit better before you choose your career the next
Yeah.
time, because you will have to study no matter what. So like it's better if you study something that you love, or something that you love enough that study won't be such a pain in the ass, or that you can endure that pain, right?
Yeah.
Mm. After that, I came back home. I studied a little bit more to get into college again. And again, with that mindset of like, I want to create something, but maybe like something more artistic. And the option that came up at that time, and keep in mind, like, I didn't even know that concept art existed. Like, this was illustration, and being an artist was not an option, because that's not a career that anyone thinks about, right? And I came back home, and then I started looking for other schools to go to. I ended up going to university for advertising, which I think is like, I don't know how it is over there, but here in Brazil, if you are creative, that's what you go do. Like if you're creative and you actually want to have a job, right? Because you
Yeah.
can always go do like artsy stuff and actually not get a job, because art schools over here are very much on the like uh, contemporary art kind of thing, like like postmodern kind of thing. They don't actually
Yeah.
teach you how to make stuff. It's mostly I think you learn a lot about the backstory, like art history. I think that's pretty good over here.
Yeah.
But you don't get out of college without an inkling of an idea of how to get a job. And then advertising was that industry, right? Like that industry where I felt that was safe enough and creative enough. Well, once again, I was wrong. I mean, I guess I was. My life story is also about like how I made. Again, I'm very blessed to have this happen to me, but I was able to afford making mistakes. I was able to
Yeah.
afford trying and failing at things. And when I got to the third year of the 4 year degrees, that's when I found out what concept art was. I was like, oh, boom! That's when the little like that's when it sparkled, right?
Yeah.
And by then, I was like, well, I already know that no matter what happens, I will need to study hard. I will need to dedicate myself to this. And from that moment on, that's what I did every single day of my life. There hasn't passed like, okay, maybe it's too extreme to say every single day because, well, in the day that I got married, I didn't draw. But you get the idea, right?
That doesn't count. That doesn't count.
uh, but the idea was that was my single point of focus to be able to study that. And by the time that so this was in the middle of the third year of college, right? By the time that I hit like that I finished the course, and that was the time that I was starting to get some pressure on to like, oh, I need to actually make some money now, right? You can uh like afford to not do anything. I was already starting to get some like small freelance jobs. Every time that I came back, like I used to study the whole day, and then I came back home at night, and I would like start working on freelance stuff already, like by the end of college. So again, I don't know, like God must really like me, man, because I'm very blessed. Like within a year, I started making money with this, which is, look, I'm not saying that I was good, but I was good enough and hungry enough to take anything that came in. Like, oh, you pay like $20, yeah, I can do that job for you, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, that's how it progressed. So I guess there was like two main changes, right? Like main career changes was from computer science to advertising, and then from advertising to concept design.
Well, you went through. It was a long path. You until you realized concept art, and it's such a strange moment when you think about it because we all ended the concept art in some specific way, except USA people and UK and Paris because they have that industries there and they're very aware of them. They're bombarded actually with them in USA, especially. I mean, Hollywood is there, everything is happening, and Silicon Valley and so on. But us from the other countries, it's such a different path than them coming to this because we go everywhere, literally everywhere. And it's not going in the similar industry. We go here, here, here. We have no clue. Also, most of the parents are afraid when you say it because they have no clue that there is money in this industry and that artists can live literally because everybody thinks there is no money, which is a huge lie. It's a huge lie. I'm not going to lie about it. It's hard to get to it, but it exists. And it's great that you went different routes from my experience because I also, and that goes in your art. If you're doing just art, I always say that, then it's a boring art. And I have seen many people do just art, and there is nothing to glue that art because experiences glue it. And for me, I always like when I'm talking with people who went different ways to find what they are looking for. I talked with some for USA people. It's always fascinating that sometimes they go couple of unis to get to art, which is for me also interesting. I met a guy which is he used to be a surgeon, and at 35 he decided to become an artist, car designer to be exact. And like at 35 you become an artist. So strange, different paths when I see them. But you being inventor now, I completely understand how you decided to do hard surface like I do mostly, because that's what we eventually go towards to. Was there always a passion for that hard surface, or you, while you were evolving, you tried characters, different stuff, or it was mostly hard surface?
Uh, I think I always like things more than people. So I'm not
Okay,
like,
okay, okay.
although I'm decently sociable, like when I'm talking like with you or in small groups and that sort of thing. Like if you get to know me, I'm like perfectly sociable. I'm just not the kind of guy that like goes to a lot of parties or like to be like the center of attention, that sort of thing. I'm not that extroverted. The way that I like to think of it is that imagine that you have the introverted people and the extroverted people, like that little overlap. That's who I am. So inside of the extroverted people, I'm the shyest guy, and inside of the introverted people, I'm the most extrovert. So
But that's
I,
balance. That's balance.
I look more extroverted than I actually am, and I think what I like in regarding to like character design and that sort of thing is thinking about psychology, like how you can use archetypes to design characters. And as time went on my career, I started to see everything as the like design as a whole is the same thing no matter what it is that you're designing. Right. So if you're
Yeah,
designing a character, like the same principles that you apply to character design will apply to like any other kind of design that you have. Now, I do have a special love for vehicles and an even special love, like more special love for spaceships. And I think that comes from like the things that actually inspired me, right? Like Star Wars was a huge inspiration. And the reason for that is because I was 6 years old when Phantom Menace came out.
yeah,
And look, the Naboo spaceships, like those super sleek designs based on chrome and like this that sort of thing, they were just um like figure of imagination for me, like they were just the muse that people talk about, like
yeah.
I think that through so another aspect of my life that started happening around like the age of 5 or 6 is I had to deal with a lot of um like how can I say this, psychological issues. I was suffering
Okay.
from panic disorder for a long time, like for more than 15 years. And after, of course, after I got old, like, and I started to treat that and all of that, it was a bit easier. But as a kid, I think the only thing that you can do when you are like going through those things and you don't know how to deal with them is kind of trying to find escape routes for your mind,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And entertainment industry kind of offers you that, that comfort. They're like, oh, you don't like your life, you're suffering, okay, we'll take you to a galaxy far far away, like we'll take you on a spaceship ride. And it's very comforting, and it's also takes you out of the moment and kind of teaches you that things will be fine. And look, I'm perfectly fine talking about this because first of all, I think that it's important to talk about this, like for people to understand that life's not perfect, like, yeah, it's not every single point of your life is super pretty and pristine, and you need to have a perfect life to be able to be successful. But I
Instagram
think it's
life.
also no, dude, life is
Instagram
super
life.
ugly.
It can
Li-
be. It's both. It's both.
yeah, I like to think of Instagram as like the advertising that everyone does on their own life,
Only fans.
because
Only fans Instagram. That's how I call it now. Sorry for
man, it's
interrupting. Sorry. I
no,
mean,
no. You are
you
completely
hit me.
right,
You hit
man.
me with a nail now when you said about panic attacks and everything. I didn't expect that you will say this openly on a podcast, but I'm very appreciative that you said it because I went also through anxiety, horrible anxiety. I had an accident that happened. I almost died, and after that, I had panic attacks whenever I got out, which was horrible. And I can imagine you as a kid having them. I wasn't a kid. I was 20 years old when that happened. And I'm super, it hurts me when I hear it that you went through it as a kid because you were just a kid. And for me, it doesn't hurt me. I was 20 years old. I was already a man. But when I hear it for you that as a kid, it's, it, it's complicated in my head and my heart when I hear that.
Yeah, it's like the personal life, the health stuff, and the psychological life. Like I guess I was a very creative kid just to have that escapism, right? And
Yeah.
I don't think that if I had to choose nowadays, like if I had a different life, of course, like having panic attacks as a kid is not cool. But at the same time, like you have to play the hand that you're dealt, right?
Yeah.
So that gave me some strengths. That gave me the understanding that. So the way that I got through that was through therapy, and that particular therapist, like the that I went to, she taught me some like extremely valuable stuff. So, and extremely valuable in other areas of my life as well, right? Because what I had to learn was how to approach this problem. And basically, I was having like problem solving training when I was like a super young kid because of that. And I don't know if I would be the same guy that I am today. And I would approach like, let's say, work stuff, work problems, or life problems the same way. Like, I for sure would not. So, yeah, it kind of sucked that it happened. But at the same time, like, dude, I like to think of my life as more in a positive note, in the sense that, oh, I had so many blessings that these bad things that happen, they like they were just like to counterbalance how good I had it. You know, it's like, oh, you can't have too much of a good stuff, man. Like, here, let me sprinkle some bad stuff in, just so you understand that life's not that easy. Um, but yeah, you were talking about like one thing that I mentioned, the OnlyFans Instagram thing. Look, I like to be honest in these calls and on our podcast as well. Like, I'm the kind of like no frills kind of guy. I think that I'm even not that appropriate to be like on calls all the time. I'm not a
For
good
this one, you're
influencer.
appropriate. For this one, you're appropriate.
Because
Completely
no, it's
appropriate.
because like I'm way too honest. You know, like I don't like that. Look, imagine that you are trying to sell a product, right? And on the advertising industry, what you do, it's kind of like you walk the line between lying and not telling
Yeah.
stuff, right? So you cannot lie, but you can hide every single bad part about your product. That's how people approach it, and I feel like people approach social media the same way. And I don't think that's useful. I think that if you want to really connect with people, look, if you want to connect with me, you have to take my good side and my bad side. You have to know what I did well and where I sucked at. You need to understand that as a human being, I have both sides. And if you cannot deal with that, then like we will not be having this conversation. I think that
Yeah.
you like we worked together before and we had like some one-on-one conversations and all of that. And I think that you understand that like there's probably parts of my personality that you like, probably parts that you don't like, and we focus on the things that work with us. And that's what builds society, that's what builds community, that's what makes like artists identify with each other, right? And if you try to hide the negative stuff, I think that what that creates is like a dishonest relationship.
Absolutely.
And I like to trust people that, let's say that you need to tell me that my art is shit, right? Like, if you're afraid of how I will feel, you will never tell that. But if you know that I will tell you exactly how I'm feeling in the most honest manner possible, you'll be open to also open yourself up, right? To tell what you think
Yeah.
without afraid of being judged, without like the fear of, oh, he will stop being my friend if I tell him the truth. No, dude, fuck that, you know? I don't
He
know if I
wasn't
can
your
swear.
friend from the start. He wasn't your friend from the start. He wasn't your friend from the start. I experienced many ups and downs in my relationships with people. When I was young, I was not wise as I am. I can't say I'm some super wise guy now, but I understand things better, and I'm always open to learn them more. I like to say that I'm like a cat now. I'm more observing that I used to be before. Before I would say everything. Now I just pack it a little bit better because we worked together. There was a problem on that project, and you remember it was a problem. And I very openly speak about problems in projects because I rarely have them. But when I have them, they hunt me at night, literally. And there was a problem, and I was really trying to explain them that it's not okay what they are doing, but they didn't care. They didn't care. They just push. And that's a problem in business because you have no idea is the person pushing that idea because they have no clue what they are doing, or they are doing it just because they want to do it. That's the problem in business from my side. In relationships it's completely different. I mean, you have certain people that are, we live now in a society, the society has changed, and we live now, I know older artists and I know the new ones. The artists that are now behaving the way they are, where they say, I never ask for unsolicited comment or advice about and critique about my work. they can move forward a lot because everybody is judging your work constantly. Older guys would laugh at them because they know how you prosper. So society is definitely changing. I mean, there is not too much honesty. There is just now when I look at it, there is certain people that you are honest to and certain people you're not honest to. What I mean by not honest, they don't need to know everything because people use a lot of your weaknesses. I know that the best. I know that the best. But thanks God to them, I got a lot of inspiration for Inside 44 bad characters that I put in the book and I named them by them. After all, they did all of that stuff. So it was a great thing for me, you know?
Yeah, you take inspiration from both the bad and the good. You know, like that's the good
Absolutely.
thing about doing what we do. We can take any experience. But yeah, what you said is very much true. Like there's this part of the art community that is just uh, the way that I see is like avoiding reality. Look, the way that I like to see feedback on my own work is please critique my work, give me the best input that you can, and
Yeah.
then I do like to separate work and like not necessarily work in personal life, but mostly like if I'm giving you feedback on your artwork, I hope that you understand that I don't think that you are a bad person if
Yeah.
your work's bad,
Absolutely.
right? I will
Absolutely.
not insult you as a person. I will probably insult your work a little bit, you know, but that's because I want you to get better. So it's kind of like if you actually care for someone, you will be honest about their work, right? And as long as people do the same thing with me, like, look, you can shit on my work all you want. Like, tell me everything that you think.
Yeah.
That's the only way that I will learn what is working, what is not working, what I need to learn, what skills I need to hone in, you know, what skills I don't have yet, what skills I do have. So, like, that's how you plan ahead and you play your strengths. So another way to think of design as well, which is something that I don't think our community does that well, is like design your career too. You know, like if you are getting feedback over and over again that you are very good at something and very bad at something else, right? And you need to work right away, invest on the thing that you are good at, and then like that honing that skill that you're bad at, like on personal work that you don't need to post. Look, the
Yeah.
amount of like personal projects that I have on my computer that I never posted and I'll probably never will because I was working on one particular skill that I was bad at and now I am like a little bit less bad. You know, like I used to suck at this particular thing. Now I suck a little bit less, you know. I don't think that I will ever be like amazing at everything. I think that's impossible. Especially because the more like the better that you get, the more critical you become of your own work and
Absolutely.
the more you want to push it. So there's no end goal, right? There's no point where I'll look at my own work and I'll think, yeah, I'm good enough. I'll stop studying.
Yeah,
That
to
doesn't happen.
become good at something, you need to see that you're bad. If you're really living in your reality where you're the best and everybody else is telling you that something is off, then there is a big possibility problem is in you. Maybe you're not a bad person, but there is a reason why it's happening. When I was on a car design, I had brilliant ideas. I had 3D knowledge. I had great ways to create surfaces, but my line work sucked and I was very aware of it. I was very aware of it. The next year and a half, I spent learning lines. Now, when you see my sketch, the first thing that you see is that line that has a really nice flow and everything. But I had to be aware that I sucked. I was really bad. And always in sports, when people do sports and Brazilian Serbians do a lot of sport, you realize that the thing that you hated the most on your practices, if when you invest time in them, they become the best and there is no question about it, you know. And I wish that the artists did more sports because they would understand some things differently, even though artists mostly don't do sports, which
Oh
is
man,
very important.
I think a lot of the problems with the art community is that they don't do enough sports or physical activities. You know, because
Yeah.
uh, like I'm very much a gym guy. You know, like I always love doing it, and you learn that what will take you there is doing the movement as precisely as possible, as often as possible, yeah,
Yeah.
on a like increasingly hard manner, right? So, as an example, the workout that I did yesterday, it was a Wednesday. I will do next Wednesday as well, right? So
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, I tried this once, I practice it once, and it's done. no. Like I need to practice this like for 5 or 10 years for that muscle to start growing. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing with sports. Like every single sport has fundamentals. Last year I started learning jiu-jitsu because I thought to myself
Oh,
like, okay, I'm not a good Brazilian if I don't know jiu-jitsu.
yeah, of course. Of course. Helio Gracie would be very, very sad. The whole Gracie family would dissolve
Yeah,
you with your passport
clearly.
Brazilian.
No, but the reason why I wanted to do that is because it has been a while since I started something new. I was like, oh, I need to know how it is to be a beginner again. And the workout there, like the way that they do it, is half of the workout is fundamentals.
Yeah.
Like even the brown belts, the black belts, they have to do the fundamentals every single time.
Yeah.
They have to do like the warm ups every single time. They look, they're doing this for 10 plus years to get that black belt. They do not care that they are doing the fundamentals again. They like to do
Yeah.
that. They ask for the teacher, sometimes the teacher is even like lower graded than him. They ask him, hey, like, am I doing this correctly? How can I improve? Right.
Yeah.
And that humbleness, like, it's, well, first of all, I need to mention like the gym that I work out at is a kind of like a very small local gym, which also puts me in touch with like um this sort of blue collar kind of worker, like the guys that work at factories, that are work with public services, the guys that
Yeah.
honestly don't make that much money in life. And first of all, you understand that to be happy, like there's other aspects of life. So first of all, it makes me value everything that I have, like how comfortable my life is when I
Yeah.
get in
Yeah.
touch with people like that. And also it first of all, identify with them more than I identify with people from the art community that are super like needy and complain about everything all the time. I don't like that as much. I like more the kind of like teasing each other, joking with each other all the time. Like, oh, I almost broke your arm. You need to get that armor stronger, huh? Like that sort of
I
thing.
think I think that's what you're talking about. That's a male bonding, and I really mean it. The best friends that I have now. Yesterday, I saw a photo. I like how things are always overlap. And we are talking about art. We are talking about friendship. We are talking everything is important in life, especially for artists, which we always have mental problems. So friendship is very important for us. Yesterday, today, my friend, this morning, he sent me a photo, and on the photo it's four of us when we were 20 years old, and one of the guys was killed. He was killed. He's not anymore with us, and he was very close to me, very, very, very close to me. How did we meet? And I always remember that he came to beat the shit out of me, and I will very openly say it. That's how we met. And he came, and I told him I didn't do that. I swear with my heart, I don't know who's telling you that. And we met like that. For 3 years we were like this. We were like this. Male boys, I will call us boys, we bond differently, and it's very important for me as a man to bond like that, and to be able to tease somebody, because that's how the bond is stronger between us. If somebody doesn't have that in them, doesn't mean that I tease everybody who I meet, but closest friends I have to. And I think it's very important in art to tease the proportions, silhouette, and everything constantly, to until you get a good feeling, because it's a constant balance between insult and a tease. Same in art.
Yeah, I think it's the ability of taking criticism without taking it to the heart. Like
Yeah, yeah,
if I can look, if I can critique your work and you will not be insulted by it, and we'll still be friends, I'll still be striving to the same goals and objectives. Like uh, I I know for sure that if a is a life in that situation, and I need to tell you exactly what you need to do, like you'll hear it.
yeah.
Not it's not that extreme, but like the over there, the risk of injury is actually serious. Like you can
It's huge.
actually hurt
It's huge.
you
It's
can
huge.
actually hurt your partner, and no one actually wants to hurt each other, right? But it is a risk that you're running, and if you have that fine-tuned balance of communication between each other, look, it's not like an emotional communication, it's not like fluffy communication, it's not something that is pristine, that is like what you would see on a Netflix movie per se, but it's the kind of communication that works, right?
Yeah,
It's like you are both like helping each other, pushing each other, and also challenging each other. You know, like every single look, I have gym friends as well. Every single time that I will like spot them when they're making like, I don't know, benching pressing or squatting or whatever, I'll tell them, hey, don't you think like this is too light for you? You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, of course.
I'll tease them like, oh, do you need help with this like CC kind of weights? You know, and it's not an insult on their masculinity or anything like that. It's just like maybe I put the idea in their head that they can do more than they're doing right now.
It's a
Maybe,
tease. It's a tease.
yeah,
It's a
it's
tease.
a tease to look, man. It's been a while since you raised that weight, right? Like, are you going to actually try or not? You know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
and I do like, and I have that in my own house as well. Like, my wife also pushes me to be better. I also push her to be better. You know,
yeah. That's great.
there's no like connection in terms. It's not a bad thing to push each other, which is something that I feel like society is doing right now. Society is saying like, oh, it's okay to be the way you are. Oh, you don't need to change. Oh,
It's not okay. It's
get
not
out of
okay.
here with that kind of shit, man. I don't. I really. I cannot stand that kind of talk, man.
Yeah, it's very strange for me. Also, it's very strange because if I stayed the way I was, I would never be in this position. I mean, I'm not perfect. Nobody is perfect. When perfect example is now Kevin Klein commercials. When we were growing up, I remember when you see a Kevin Klein commercial, guys and girls that were that Kevin Klein commercial, I would get afraid of them. Literally, how good looking they are. Like literally, God's walking on this earth, and you're like, I want to be like this. Maybe I can't be as them, but I want to be close as much as I can. Speaking about my image, my persona, and so on. And now the Kevin Klein I saw
That's why you are
commercial.
so handsome.
No, thank you so much. Right back at you. But you know what's the thing? The new Kevin Klein commercial, I saw it. And there are two obese people underdressed on it. It's completely different mentality where they are like, you're good as you are. And it's not that I have something against obese people or I have against dressing, but that's not striving towards perfection. You're striving towards being just a regular person. When you're just a regular person, don't expect great things in life.
Yeah,
Don't expect great things in life. That doesn't
yeah,
work like
man.
that. You can tell me that you're a great person, but if you are not doing the things, you will be regular. That's it.
Yeah,
Very strange.
and there are there are multiple areas of your life, right? So I had this the best friend of my wife, like this girl that like she comes to our house like every week. They talk like
Yeah.
that. She used to be obese and she had the
Girl
like
talk.
stomach
Girl talk.
surgery.
She had
Yeah, yeah,
the one when they cut in half
yeah, yeah.
there. Oh, that's dangerous, but good for her if everything's
I
okay.
mean, I always talk to her like, hey, like you need to take care of this, you know? Like we value you as a friend. You are a great
Yeah,
person, but like we also want you to be your best version and also to live as long as possible, you know? Like there's a lot
yeah,
of
yeah,
aspects of life. So it's not like I'm and I totally understand you. Like I don't have anything against obese people. Like that's not the point. The point is, look, you are wasted potential. That's how I see it, right? Like you are wasting your potential as a human being by not being the best version that you can be.
yeah, yeah,
And uh, it physically hurts me to see wasted potential. You know why? Because I see the like how so the local industry, like the local people that I see, like there's local artists that have so much potential and they don't have opportunities because of where we live or because they're not
yeah,
like as well educated as they could be. There's a lot of people that could be much better than they are, and because their social environment they're not. That when I see someone that is on a social environment that if they were just try a little bit more would make like for a much better life, to me that is wasted potential. You know, like to me it's
yeah,
look, you have everything. Over here, we tend to say like you have the knife and the cheese on your hand. You know, like you have everything that you need. It's an
cheese
expression
on
to
a
say like,
cheese on a platter. Sir
yeah,
Nathaniel, as
yeah,
we okay, okay,
yeah, man. It's like it's an expression to say like, look, you have everything that you need to have a better life.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
The idea that you sit at home complaining on social media that your life's not good, to me is like, okay, I understand that you're not happy. That's fine. You can be not happy. You know, like that you can be sad. You can feel your emotions. Just use that as a fuel to every single day wake up and do your best.
Yeah.
And sometimes your best will be one drawing, and sometimes your best will be 10 drawings, and sometimes your best will be a freaking whole spaceship in a day. I don't know. Like it varies, right? Like you don't wake up every single day as the same person. That varies a lot. But you need to try, like sometimes you go to the gym and you cannot lift more than last week because I don't know, you slept a little bit less, you are stressed from work, but you're still going there and you're still trying the best of that day that you can give. And again, that's how I approach my work. Like some days my work shit, and some days I surprise myself with like, oh, this actually looks decent. So,
Absolutely. Persistent is the most important aspect in art, especially in art. It comes also from the sport that we mentioned, and I like that we are overlapping. Being persistent is the most important thing, except with women that one don't want you to be persistent. I will say it
no,
very
yes,
directly.
please learn how to take a no to the face.
Learn the subtle cues. Anyhow, as persistence, I will tell you a story about when you said the martial arts. I went to kickboxing when I was young. For 5.5 years, I was semi-pro, and I loved it. Now I'm too old. I swear my leg would fall off if I kicked something. I do yoga now, but this is very personal story. I love to say it sometimes when I'm brave enough because it will hurt my ego when I'm telling it. So I
No,
come to
that's
the
right, man. That's right. This is a
so I
safe
come to
space.
well, of course everybody will hear it. I don't care. And I come to kickboxing. It was very that moment was very important for my future career. And I come to kickboxing. First class. I'm 19 years old, like this, stick literally. And I'm like, all of a sudden, then you hear a bell, ding, ding, ding. You're gonna spar. You have no clue how to spar. No matter what you did on the streets, you don't know how to spar. And I will never forget it. They put me with a girl to spar with a girl. I will never forget it. And I'm like, I can't hit a girl. Still now, maybe if she was trying to kill me, I would punch her in the face, but I can't hit a girl. It's just engraved in me. I can't do it. Well, let's just say that she beat the shit out of me. I had my eye closed like this. My eye was closed. I had a leak of blood that was dripping here. She was punching me in the ribs all the time. And I had no clue who she was, but she beat the shit out of me. So when that happens, you go home. It insults you. It literally insults you. You can be whoever you want, cold as an ice, but it insults you on such a way that you wouldn't believe. People can get upset with what I'm saying. I'm just saying this is guys 15 years ago before world was changing and everything. So it insulted me. Literally,
Look,
I felt I felt
just to point that
horrible.
out, I don't think that it has to do, like, maybe it has to do with the fact that she was a girl as well. But when I took a beating from a guy that was smaller than me, I also felt insulted. So, like, no matter
I,
who it
I
is that
felt
is kicking your
I
ass,
felt I felt so insulted. You wouldn't believe. And I went home and I seriously wanted to quit. I really wanted never to come back because I was so ashamed. Tomorrow I come. I pushed myself to come and I come there. And really, I needed really mental energy to come there. It wasn't physical, mental energy. And I step there and she sees me. And she approaches me and she says, "You came back." And I say, "Yeah." So everything I learned in kickboxing, I learned from her. She's a she was a silver medalist in a kickboxing in Europe. And she took me under her reach because never before any guy returned when that happened. And she taught me everything. She taught me everything that I knew in kickboxing, and I kickboxed really good. She was the responsible for everything. To say it now, 15 years later, I'm very open about things. I would never expect in my life to come back. Even less, I would expect that a girl would teach me how to fight at that time when I was growing up. But she did, and it opened my mind. It opened my mind about how universe works and that you always get what you ask for. I asked to learn how to box. It went different path, but it also built ego. When I came to art, no matter what happened, I would remember that and come back. Come back, come back. If I survived that, I can survive anything. It was detrimental for my art career, and I'm super thankful to her.
yeah, I think first of all, it's a valuable lesson, right? But I really love what you said of you get what you ask for, because I also like, of course, this is a little bit more philosophical, and I don't know how much you believe those kind of things, but
Absolutely
maybe
brilliant.
maybe like being like have your ass kicked by a girl was exactly what you needed to learn that like, first of all, don't misjudge your opponent, right? Like that, and that
Absolutely.
be humble enough to learn from people that know more than you, no matter how they look like, right? Which is look, I understand your point of view, and to be honest, like I have a very similar story. The first time that I went to sparring, like I never had been punched in the face before that first time, and I got like
It's
straight
horrible.
punch,
It's
like straight on
horrible.
my face,
It's
dude.
horrible.
I started to cry, like of nervousness, like in
Yeah,
the
okay,
middle of the
okay, okay.
spar,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
because I was like, dude, what the fuck? And then I started getting more and more punch in the face, and I was getting angry with myself because, dude, I need to block this thing. What the hell is happening? And the reality is that like you don't, when you're doing that for the first time, you don't know how to fight. Like you don't know how to fight properly. You don't know how
Neither
to
is
do
your
that
face
thing.
used to punches. Neither is your body
Yeah.
and face used to punches. Absolutely. It reacts
So
emotionally.
yeah, it's perfectly natural, and I think that this doesn't happen in art. So like the first time that you do like a drawing and it sucks, people kind of come over to you and they say, "Oh, this is a beautiful drawing. You'll be an artist and whatever, whatever." And I think that saves people from that emotional impact. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think at some point in your career, you do need to face with reality. The way that like a punch in the face would double check your reality for you like in no time. So uh, if it was me, like, and I was building an art school, I would have like sports class in the afternoon. It would be like half and half. You'll learn like art history in
Team
the
sport,
morning
especially
and
team sport.
jujitsu.
Team sports to learn that there is always teams are everywhere in the world same. There is always one guy that doesn't know how to play, or a girl, doesn't matter, that doesn't know, but their parents are paying for her or him to play. There is always guy that hates you in the team. You don't have a clue why, but he hates you, and you all need to work together. There is always a guy that is sabotaging you in a team, and you don't know why, but he's doing that. There is a guy that you don't like, and you have no clue why you don't like him. Same. And that to win, you need all to work together.
Oh, you're missing one guy. There's that one guy that try half as hard as you and is twice as better.
Oh, that's
Because
always that's a perfect example.
there is always people like that as well. The guy that like you wanted to hate him because he's so good, but he also a nice guy, so you cannot hate him.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
he's
yeah.
much
There
better
is
than
no
you,
game
so
about that.
so like
I
you feel
remember there
bad
was
for
a
not
guy.
liking him.
There was a guy in a team. I remember when we were shooting free kicks, and I will never forget that. And a guy literally with the 1/3 of his strength, he punches the ball and he hits the goal post every time. And you can hit the whole goal, and he's hitting a goal post all the time, and you're like, motherfucker, motherfucker, how the? But you know,
You
people
need that feeling inside.
people are much, but one thing that I learned from him is that people are much nicer. Mostly people think when somebody is good at something that they're egoistical bastards, and that's a complete lie. Same in art. And he was always kind enough to show me how it's. But the problem is that I had, as my father liked to say, two left legs. I'm right sided, so that I had two left legs. There was no saving for me. So, but
Yeah.
he was always trying nicely to explain me.
Yeah, look, I can't say anything. Like I'm good with like steel ball kind of plays, but like to actually play soccer, I really sucked. My brother was
Please,
the one
no,
that got
no,
the the
football, please,
the, the good
football,
genes.
football, football, please.
No, I'm too used to talking to Americans. That's the
Yeah,
issue.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Americans always say soccer, but I can't get used to it. For me, it's football or football in Serbian. It's that's it. I know, man.
No, no.
I like how we are talking about sports and art. What I wanted to ask you now, when we talked about the sphere of the sports and everything, what else would you add to art industry that you think would glue it more, make people better, and so on? Is there anything specific that you think would help young artists?
So maybe the a detachment from like specific tools. I think that would help. I think some people they hinder their own progress by attaching themselves to certain processes too much. So as an example, right? Like when 3D came in, some people were like getting crazy about it. When Photo Bash came in, some people were getting crazy about it. I think that if you know yourself a little bit better and you know what you want to produce, the tools will come a little bit easier for you. So, uh, as an example, I will use Don, my good friend, as an example, right? Because his story is very like he's very good. That where he tried to approach like do a mainstream kind of art for a while, and that did not
Yeah.
quite work. And then when he found his own inspiration, like from his own like story, he looked in the past and he saw the things that inspired him, and he tried to do things that like produce art that he actually liked. He found a process that worked for him, and now he's a huge success doing that process.
Yeah.
And it's not a process that works for me, right? But it works for him. It produces the kind of art that he wants to produce, and that's how he found his success. Another person that I really like to point out to it's Peter Han,
Yeah.
the guy that does dynamic drawing and that sort of thing.
Sketching. For me,
Like
he is always sketching when I see. I always remember sketching Peter Han. Sketching Peter
yeah,
Han.
yeah,
That's how I connect.
pretty much. And the way that why I like to look at him is that people are always chaotic. People are always thinking it's the end of the world because this one technique that they use, oh, is getting obsolete or is not being used anymore. And Peter Hunt is here in 2024, like making his living with pen drawings on a paper. Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you ask for a concept artist like, oh, what do you think of drawing in like pencil and paper? They'll tell you that it's like outdated. No one wants that anymore. No one can make money with that anymore.
Only
And the way
Unreal
that,
Engine. Only Unreal Engine.
yeah, and the way that I see it's like, look, it's not no one, like maybe you don't want to do that, but if you really wanted to do that, check Instagram. There's a like I don't know 10,000 people that make traditional art that have their Patreon and they're teaching other people how to do it and they are making their living that way.
And they're
um
making some serious cash. Like serious.
yeah, yeah. Another guy, look, the list is endless, but there's this guy that I follow. He does gouache paintings. His name is Justin Donaldson. He teaches people how to
Watch
do gouache
paintings.
paintings.
Yeah, I know him. He appeared on my Behance, and I was. This is the first time I see somebody do watches as cars, literally, and I was like, "Wow, wow!"
No,
I re-
it's gouache, the media.
the gouache, okay, okay, but he is
Yeah.
painting the watches, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I
it's
know.
the like are you really going to complain about the media that you use? Like think of the art that you want to produce and then pick the tools based on that. Don't go the other way around. Because I think that would be a more pure kind of artwork. And here's the thing, right? Like the whole AI talk, I think this is how if you want to fight it, this is how you fight it by being unique. And like what is being unique? Know
I hate that
yourself,
we are
know.
mentioning AI. I hate that we are mentioning AI, even though I know we have to, but I hate that AI so much and everything that's happening because of it. I hate
Look,
it, man. I really hate it. I'm worried about it. I'm glad that you mentioned it. I'm worried about it, but I'm disappointed also by some peers. And I'm glad that you mentioned it. I'm very disappointed by art community in some ways. In one way, I'm very impressed by people, but in other, I'm very disappointed by people who are using AI to level themselves. Let's call it like that. I don't know what's your opinion about
look,
that, but I like that you're
I
talking that you can still do
saw.
traditional art and stuff like that.
You know when you see someone using 3D and they don't know perspective well, so that like you clearly see that
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah,
sucks because the part that they had to fix kind of sucked. That's how I've been seeing AI art. Like oh, someone that don't know how to do art is using it, and it clearly shows,
yeah.
right? Because it's missing like fundamentals. So first of all, it's a shame that AI came for creativity straight up. Like I wish it was solving other problems for us. I
Yeah,
wish it
yeah.
was solving like I wish
Read
the
Topo.
creative stuff. What? Yeah,
Read Topo.
exactly, exactly. Pretty much. First of all, that's one thing, and then calling that art is also another issue because it's pretty much a plagiarism tool.
Yeah,
That's what it is, right? It's not actually creating things; is assigning words to things and then mixing things up. So it's kind of like a
It's
blender
stealing.
of
Let's be very
multiple works.
precise. It's stealing. It's
Yeah,
stealing.
yeah.
There is no
That's
question
the
about it.
like that's the biggest problem, right? It's taking without authorization things that are not from like free. So as an example, if I take someone's photo that let's say there is a photographer that does thing, and I use that photo in a photo bash, and it clearly shows that it's that photo, like I don't change it at all. Let's say that I take a landscape that someone photographic, I put a character there, and I call that a concept. That would be a huge issue. To me, that's exactly what AI is doing. So now, like, if you want to have a system where, let's say, I get my photos from photobash dot is it dot .co, I think it
Okay.
used to be photobash.org, but what they have is a licensing agreement, right? You buy the photos, you pay the artist that took the photo, so you can use that, right? If you want to license artist artwork and leave that as an option for people that want to sell their things, then it will become basically a stock photo kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They're like, oh, if the photographer wants to put his photo on a stock website, he would do that. If you an art as an artist wants to upload things to AI stuff, you can do that. But it needs to be a choice, otherwise it is stealing, right? That's
Definitely
the
it's stealing. Yeah, definitely. I mean, there is no question anymore about is it stealing. Steven Zapata and Reed, they all showed. Carl Ortiz also, I can mention many names. They showed it's stealing, and it's now legally proven. Because problem was to legally prove it that it's stealing. It was very obvious, but to legally prove it, it was hard. And now it's very obvious. It's not question that. But I'm
yeah, yeah.
disappointed by our community in one way I'm very impressed what people are doing to stop it. Jean-Baptiste Monge for Europe that got a European AI Act to stop it and so on and so on. And I'm very happy about that, people. But when I see my peers, which are mediocre artists, and I'm very open about that, low level mediocre, using AI to advance their career because it's a wave that you are riding, it really makes me sad. It
I
really
think that
makes me.
there's one thing that actually you mentioned that I think is how I see this. You know, when NFTs were coming out, and you mentioned
Yeah,
that like, oh, NFTs will stay, bad art will pass.
yeah, yeah.
I feel like it's exactly the same thing. I think that the technology of mixing images together, that will stay, right? So, as
I,
an
I
example, if
I'm super sad that I predicted the future. Sorry for interrupting you, but I predicted the future. There is a slide with Mike Tyson where I put his heads on every single character on the slide, and I say tomorrow we'll have movies where we can put character which one, and then AI can. And I was like, I predicted future, but I didn't expect it would be this bad.
yeah, but like shitty art will happen, and we'll have more of it now. That's what we'll do. Like
Yeah,
we'll have this flood of generic AI generated stuff,
it's
and
already happening.
you know,
It's already.
look, the way that I like to see it, and you know how like I'll talk about the car industry because it's something they were very much aware of. You know how luxury cars they have like, oh, this is hand stitched, like the seating is leather, which is hand stitched, it's custom
Yeah,
made, it's handmade. The idea of being handmade as a luxury item, that's what our industry will become, because you can go to the corner, like to the corner store, and buy like 100 designs for $10 of this generic character, or you can have a craftsman, an actual designer, design this custom made for you from scratch, and this will be the perfect piece of art, right?
yeah,
So nowadays you can go to the IKEA relative store from your country and buy the thing that they mass produce, and that will be like good enough for 90% of the people. But if you want something that is truly special, that is truly unique, that is truly custom made for you, you will need someone to make that thing for you, and
yeah,
that's where AI is not there. I think that our space will in a way become way more valuable because they will need people that actually care about the work,
yeah,
while the generic crowd will struggle to get the crumbs. You know,
yeah.
like that's what I feel like will happen. That's why Avatar the movies, they are such a success. uh I saw a talk, it's available on YouTube, by the way. I think Zachary, I forgot his
Ah,
last name.
Zachary Quint, or how Zachary
It,
Berg? No, I think it's
oh, I think it's the bird guy.
I think
It's
it's
just
Zachary Berg.
look.
I
Yeah,
remember. I saw it also. It's great.
look for creature design for Avatar. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. He's gonna be.
uh,
You
it's
just
a
type
great
Zachary Avatar and he comes out first.
it's a great insight on how people that care about a project will do like an amazing work. And that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
we need. We need people that care. Like now, if you don't care enough about your job, that will actually like just take an input that you put there, copy that image and paste on like your email for your client and actually send that. To me, that's a bit disrespectful. You know, that's like, what the hell, man? Like you're getting paid to do this and you spent like 10 minutes getting it generated. Uh
No, no.
I,
I really dislike it. I really dislike it.
I
But
think that technology is cool, right? Like I do think that technology is cool. I think like
absolutely, it has a purpose.
yeah, I think
AI also
it
has a
will have its
purpose.
use.
There is no question about it. But yeah, I can talk with you forever with about many subjects, and I'm sure that we will repeat this. But since I'm wrapping this on 1 hour mostly, and I want to keep it like that because audience told me that if it's longer than 1 hour, they don't want to listen to
That's for
it.
sure. I just talk too much, man. Yeah, you can
No, you
cut me
don't
off.
talk too much. We both talk too much, and that's why this conversation is really good and it flows really easy. For the end, I want to ask you one more thing. Where do you expect to see yourself in 5 years?
um, what I'm doing right now, what I'm planning to do, it's specializing more. I was lucky enough last year to find even more gaps in my knowledge, and I'm studying to cover those up. I think that one thing that you can expect from me next is, first of all, I'll finally start posting again. Like I've been a bit away from social media, but I hope people can understand that sometimes people need some silence to hear themselves. And another thing that I'm planning to do is actually start teaching. And the reason for that is because I was lucky enough to have a couple of mentees over the past few years, like less experienced artists that wanted some help. And I noticed that I really love the idea of passing on knowledge. And one thing that that does to me personally is makes me want to learn even more because I always feel like I don't know enough to pass the knowledge along. So that also
Yeah.
pushes me, you know. So that's where I'm at right now. Like, still, uh, if you're asking 5 years, I'll say exactly the same thing, right? Still pushing. That's the thing.
Okay.
Like, it never stops. So
Then the answer is still pushing. And I like that this is we are finishing this with still pushing. Ladies and gentlemen, I really loved this conversation because it's natural and flows. Andre is a great guy. Keep an eye on him. You can see his portfolio on the bottom and or the bottom of the link. And thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for joining me.
thank you very much for having me.
It will happen again. There is no question about it. Next time, I just need to prepare a little bit to cut the questions because we can go for 3 hours like this. But there will be part two. There is no question.
I'll
There is
talk
no.
less about sports next time.
No, no, no. I love that interlaps. I love when I have a similar kind as me that talks about sports, not about only art. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. That was André Pelas Davi, and this is the latest episode of DARMAR. Hit the subscribe button and check his work because he is truly amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.